There's a, quote, significant appearance of impropriety that infects the prosecution team. Tremendous lack in judgment. The unprofessional manner of the DA's testimony. The odor of mendacity remains. I Googled mendacity. It means lying. Legally improper speech that was made in the church that Laura just talked about. Legally improper with the effect to cast racial aspersions on the defendants. The DA has created dangerous waters for the DA to wade further into. There are reasonable questions about whether the DA testified untruthfully.
If you guys have been following the Georgia stuff, and I'm pretty sure that you have, this is probably the best news yet in the Fani Willis, Donald Trump election interference saga. So Judge Scott McAfee, he made a decision that is really, really upsetting the leftists and the liberals and all the other morally and intellectually corrupt creatures of the left. They're losing their minds. And I think that he was planning this all along. My initial reaction when he first made the ruling that even allowed Fani Willis to stay on the case was that he was only setting the table to be appealed and be reversed. I mean, you do not absolve a prosecutor while at the same time chastising her for the odor of mendacity, which is really only the fanciest way possible to say this person lied to me on the stand under oath. Now, one thing I didn't know at the time that I said that was that in Georgia, during an ongoing trial, the judge has to allow you to appeal his decision. Now, I gotta be honest, when I heard that, I was a little nervous that he wouldn't allow it because judges, no matter what their plan is, they don't like being overruled. They don't like being overturned. Nobody does, right? But again, it is very, very difficult to include language about an official's perjury and then deny a request for appeal. I don't see how you could reasonably do both of those things. Now, if you didn't see the video I'm talking about, here's why I think that the judge made the decision that he made in the way that he made it, and why I believe that he really does hope that he's overturned. You know, judges are elected in Fulton County, and while they don't run as one party or the other, he's not going to run as a Republican or a Democrat. Being the judge who absolved the great, evil, racist, most horrible human being of all time, Donald Trump, and the judge that destroyed a Democrat hero DA in an overwhelmingly Democrat county would not exactly have lent itself to McAfee's career longevity, right? Now, if a different, higher court can deal with having a real backbone and seeing justice actually done, and this judge's hands stay clean, I think that was his goal. And here's what's going on.
Well, more on the justice system. We've got an update now, Phil, from the judge. This just in, overseeing efforts to disqualify Fani Willis from the Georgia election interference case. That judge, we have just learned, has issued an order, Phil, allowing Trump and 8 co-defendants to seek appeal of the order denying disqualification of Willis. The Georgia Court of Appeals has 45 days to decide whether they will hear the case. That's obviously big news, Phil. Your reaction?
Yeah, it is big, and it's something that we've been following, of course, very closely here in the Atlanta area. The judge's order that's being appealed, in my opinion, is wrong. I think that he found, for example, that Willis wrongfully engaged in communications outside the courtroom. Basically, she went into the well of a church on Sunday, and she essentially called some of the defendants and their counsels racist, right? And so she is making public statements outside of the courtroom that are designed to impact the ability of these defendants to get a fair trial. So what's happened, the parties have appealed, and they have to do it's a two-step thing. They've got to get the judge who issued the order to agree to it, and as you mentioned, the Court of Appeals also has to agree to hear it. This is what we call an interlocutory appeal, a pre-trial appeal. Normally, you have to wait until after there's a conviction and then take every issue up that you think is an error, take it all up on appeal at the same time. But this issue is so important that you don't want to risk having a trial or multiple trials against all these defendants, potentially having convictions, and then have the Court of Appeals, after all is said and done, have them then say, you got it wrong. We're going to send it back for you to start over all again, and this time with a brand new prosecutor. So this procedure will prevent that type of situation from occurring.
Really interesting. That just in. Phil, thank you for coming on and responding to all of that. A lot to keep track of.
Always happy to be here.
Okay, Phil. Meanwhile, the top military leaders in charge of America's deadly withdrawal from Afghanistan.
It's funny, man, when you watch what's going on in the Twitterverse and when you see people talking about this appeal, They think that the judge regrets his original decision to allow Fannie to get away with lying to him, right? They think that now he's bending to some sort of pressure. And I completely disagree. I think this was his plan all along. He put just the right language in his ruling. And the odor of mendacity was just a very, very small part. I showed you in the intro. He may have let her stay on the case, but he absolutely dismantled her in his decision to do so. And this appeal, and I think her ultimate removal, I believe it was his plan all along. But we'll see how it works out. We'll see what happens. That's just my take, guys. Let me know yours in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to hit the like button so other people can get this message. Like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.